Hi guys, welcome to the Liberal Conservative. It's been a crazy, fast-moving week of news, and I want to keep the podcast informative and historical, but I also want to keep you updated on maybe some like underground items that are not making the rounds in the legacy media, which is what most people watch, unfortunately. And hopefully by giving this information to all of us and putting it on my podcast, we can all become collectively more informed and, more importantly, prepared. So in research today, I found that the U.S. military is adopting GROK, which is the AI platform developed by Elon Musk, and it has been trained by algorithms from Twitter or from X, and so the U.S. military is adopting this AI platform to train its forces and their military. So GROK was trained on toxic, unfiltered data from X, formerly known as Twitter. It has been documented producing pro-Nazi or Hitler-praising responses due to lack of moderation or intentional ideological drift. And for all intents and purposes, it is owned by a man who is openly aligned with authoritarian, anti-democratic power structures. So what we are watching is the militarization of a fascist machine learning in real time. So let's break down what this actually means. AI weaponization of ideology. GROK is trained by X data, which includes neo-Nazi, white supremacist, and fascist content, now amplified due to Musk's rollback of moderation. If it's being used for military education or simulation, which it is, the U.S. just granted it $200 million, it will mirror the worldview embedded in its training data. A couple of episodes ago, we spoke about AI. Well, I spoke about AI, and I talked about the importance of who's going to train it. And I talked about the importance of women becoming more and more familiar with AGI, right? Because AGI doesn't have bias. It just goes by what it learns. So if it's learning toxic masculinity, that's how it's going to behave. So praises like praise Hitler isn't a glitch in GROK AI. It's an outcome of design neglect, and it's intentional. So military indoctrination is a pipeline. If the military uses this system, we're witnessing a direct AI pipeline from far-right internet echo chambers to American boots on the ground. This is Project 2025 in action, the full alignment of tech, military, and white nationalist ideology through automated command chains. Musk's role has, he's publicly flirted with eugenics, platformed anti-Semitic content like that. We all saw him do that Nazi praise during Trump's inauguration. He promoted pro-authoritarian voices, fired teams responsible for ethical AI and content moderation, acquired military contracts with Starlink, SpaceX, and now GROK. This move is not random. It's a deliberate step toward embedding AI into military doctrine with no public oversight, ethical guardrails, or democratic accountability. So if AI is being militarized to reflect fascist ideologies, we cannot ignore it. The same billionaires poisoning the environment and crashing the dollar are now programming the minds of soldiers, not with honor or truth, but with the same code that celebrates Hitler. So in my research, I thought to myself, wait a second, what happens to AIPAC under this AI-driven fascist U.S. military shift that's also extremely anti-Semitic and pro-Hitler? Well, believe it or not, AIPAC becomes the gatekeeper of approved patriotism. As AI systems like GROK shape military education, AIPAC's definition of ally or threat becomes the visible hand behind the algorithm. Pro-Palestinian voices, progressive Jews, and anti-war veterans will be flagged, shadow banned, branded anti-Semitic. Unquestioning loyalty to Israel's far-right regime is what's rewarded. It'll be boosted and baked into the AI command logic. AIPAC doesn't lose power, it becomes hard-coded into the digital military consciousness. AIPAC's control expands for Congress to code. Right now, AIPAC uses dark money to buy politicians. Under Project 2025, Musk's AI regime, they can help train the machines that shape policy, enforcement, censorship, and enemy targeting. Their influence migrates from lobbying humans to programming systems. So, we can all imagine a future where opposing Israel's policies equals being flagged by AI as anti-American, supporting Palestinian rights equals linked to radicalization, and that information gets straight to the feds, to DHS, the Pentagon, or predictive threat system. AIPAC merges with the war machine. They already work hand in glove with Raytheon, Lockheed, and Boeing. As AI becomes the brain of the military-industrial complex, AIPAC doesn't need to lobby. They'll write the script that defines global enemies. That's it. So think Musk's AI plus AIPAC's geopolitical motives plus Pentagon's weapons equals digitized imperialism 2.0. So the left and the truth tellers become targets. You, me, my podcast, independent journalists, Muslim lawmakers, anti-Zionist, Jews, anyone calling out genocide, apartheid, or mass surveillance will be tracked, flagged, blacklisted, labeled domestic threats, not by humans, but by AI models trained by fascist ideologies and AIPAC-aligned data sets. So currently, Elon Musk has built the AI brain. Project 2025 has written the fascist playbook. AIPAC has set the geopolitical target list. The military executes with algorithms, not generals, and the people disenfranchised watch and are punished. I think that perhaps your next question is, wait a second, why would AIPAC, a powerful Jewish lobby, support the rise of a military and tech system like GROK that is openly aligned with anti-Semitic forces, even ones that echo Hitler? Well, the answer is short-term power. Profit and domination have taken precedence over collective Jewish safety or historical memory. AIPAC has aligned itself with fascism before. AIPAC is not a protector of all Jews, especially not anti-Zionist Jews, progressive Jews, or those critical of war. So AIPAC is basically a white supremacist group for Jews. It's a protector of Israeli military dominance and elite wealth only, even if it means partnering with white supremacists. This includes aligning with evangelical Christians, Zionists who believe Jews must die in Armageddon. It includes supporting Trump, DeSantis, and fascist-leaning Republicans, even if in their states they have a rise in anti-Semitic hate crimes. It also means lobbying against progressive Jews like Bernie Sanders and Rashida Tlaib. In short, AIPAC has long chosen proximity to power over principle. So GROK is a tool of fascist order, not Jewish survival. GROK is being trained on X, an environment full of anti-Semitism, misogyny, and fascist hero worship. Yes, AIPAC is not resisting it. Why? Because they believe they can control it, just like the governments believed they could control Facebook before it rigged elections. But you can't control a machine trained on chaos. AIPAC is feeding a fire it assumes won't burn them, but it will. The trap of elite exceptionalism, AIPAC leaders believe they are part of the ruling class. They will always be immune from the anti-Semitism they see spreading in the lower ranks and the lower rungs of society. They will be exempt because they helped build the machine, because they have money, because they have escapism. This is the same mistake elite Jews made in Germany in the 1930s. They thought, we are too valuable, too connected, and too essential to be targeted until they weren't. So they are basically sort of building their own cage by platforming AI like GROK, by allying with tech fascists, by targeting the left and truth tellers instead of Nazis, and by they are helping train the same system that will eventually turn on them too. Because fascism is a beast that always eats its own allies. You must understand that AIPAC believes it can ride the dragon of fascism, that by empowering Musk, Project 2025, and an anti-Semitic AI like GROK, they'll somehow be spared. But history doesn't work that way. Fascism is not loyal. It is not grateful. It is not Jewish. It is not Zionist. It is simply hungry for control. And when it is done silencing progressives, feminists, and anti-war voices, it will turn on the very elites who built it. So historically, I want to give you examples of Jewish collaborations with the Nazis because it did happen during World War II. One of the examples is the Jewish councils. These were Jewish administrative councils set up by the Nazis in ghettos across Eastern Europe. Members were typically rabbis, lawyers, business people, considered Jewish elites, basically. They were ordered to maintain order, distribute food and resources, complete list of Jews for deportation to labor and death camps. Many complied, believing cooperation might reduce suffering or because they hoped to save themselves and their families. But tragically, they often facilitated the machinery of genocide. In some cases, they prioritized wealthy or influential Jews for survival, and they were eventually killed too, once they were no longer useful. Another example is the Zionist collaboration with Nazi Germany called the Havara Agreement. In 1933, German Zionist leaders struck a deal with the Nazi government, known as the Havara Agreement. It allowed Jews to immigrate from Germany to Palestine. I want you to take that in. I'm not saying Israel because it didn't exist. To Palestine, but required them to buy German goods. This meant Nazi Germany got foreign currency and exports. German Jews escaped, but not all Jews, and often not the poor Jews. It undermined global Jewish-led boycotts of the Nazi economy. Critics then and now argue it showed that certain Jewish elites prioritized Zionist state building over unified Jewish resistance, which we can see now, 100 years later, playing out in Israel. The third example of this is Jewish police in the ghetto, and you might be able to draw a direct correlation between this example and the black ICE agents and the Hispanic ICE agents currently abusing and arresting their own kind. Many ghettos had Jewish police units who enforced Nazi orders, beat or detained fellow Jews, escorted victims to trains headed for extermination camps. Some did it to survive, others did it for small privileges or delusion of grandeur and power. Why has this history been buried? Why haven't we seen more of these truths when we learn about World War II, the Holocaust, Hitler, and the Nazis? It's because it disrupts the clear binary of victim versus oppressor. It forces us to confront the complexities of power, fear, and self-preservation. It reveals that systems of oppression always use collaborators, which we're seeing right now, even from within marginalized communities. And it is politically risky to talk about it, because especially in the post-Holocaust world where unity is emphasized over introspection. What this means today and why it matters. What you're seeing now with AIPAC backing fascist, Elon Musk promoting anti-Semitic tech, far-right Jewish billionaires bankrolling authoritarians. It's not new. It's an echo. These are elite actors aligning with violent systems, believing they'll be spared, they'll benefit, or they can control the beast. But history is very, very clear. The beast always turns. We are the voice to say this. This should be a part of our everyday vocabulary, loudly, honestly, and unapologetic. We are not the first generation to see Jewish elites align with fascist power. During the Holocaust, some Jewish councils facilitated deportations, some struck deals, some policed their own, not because they were evil, but because they were human. Today, AIPAC and Zionist billionaires are making the same fatal mistake. They are feeding a system that will one day turn on them again. This is the price of collaboration, the forgotten role of everything that we've known about in our history. I thought to myself, this is all so dire. But if I'm really honest and introspective, I felt dire when I was under Biden as well. Because it felt like he was in charge, but not really. And the things that were happening under his administration were just as cruel and were the beginning of all of this. And it was always, it was almost like it was always meant that Trump was going to take the lead again. Like, it's almost like everybody knew that this was what was going to happen. I felt like we weren't under an actual democratic rule. And I'm going to break this down for you. Like, we are past the point of traditional democracy functioning in America right now. What we have now is an oligarchy simulation of democracy, controlled by billionaire-funded narratives, administered by corporate lobbyists, enforced by surveillance tech, and laundered through rigged elections or algorithmic nudging. The real end game is not just Trump or Musk or Project 2025. It's centralized control through technology, AI, and permanent militarization, run by billionaires and enforced by surveillance infrastructure. And this is all of the people that we like: Starlink, Elon Musk and X, Palantir, Peter Thiel, Amazon, all of these, Meta, every single AI company that we're currently using, Bill Gates, Microsoft, everybody, Apple, Google, everything is a tracking mechanism, a surveillance mechanism. Digital speech policing or speech flooding with propaganda, either way, it's the same thing. Wealth extraction via housing, food, labor, and war. AI-informed law enforcement that doesn't need court orders. Global compliance through debt and economic fear. And most of all, no way out. No elections that matter. No media you can trust. No organizing without being watched. Starlink and 2026, let's talk about it, because I'm listening to so much bullshit of people saying like, oh, the Republicans are going to lose. Listen, that election is already decided. I am absolutely right to think that Starlink will interfere again, because it already has, and no one has done anything about it. It's military grade infrastructure now. Literally, like they just gave it a contract. It's military grade infrastructure. It can in fact connect to voting machines, election servers, and defense systems. And it's controlled by a man who openly flirts with fascism, hates democracy, believes he's above the law, now has a private army of satellites in space. And no one in Congress has meaningfully regulated it. Why? Because they're either purchased, blackmailed, or betting they'll be spared, just like any other time in history. Biden's role, in my opinion, now that I have all of this wealth of knowledge and information, was just to create the great illusion. We were under supposed democratic rule, but we weren't. Here's the truth about Biden's administration. He gave blank checks to war, literally blank checks to Israel, to continue to kill innocent children and women and men in Gaza, to destroy Gaza, to destroy the remaining history of Palestine. He expanded surveillance tech. There was no real challenge to tech fascists. Zero electoral reform. He continued ICE raids and police militarization. He allowed AIPAC power grabs against his own party. He kept the veneer of normalcy while underneath the Supreme Court was weaponized, voting access crumbled, young voters were gaslit and blamed, genocide in Gaza was funded with your taxes. Biden was the calm anesthetic while the surgery removed democracy. I am saying what my party won't admit and what the right wants to exploit. My podcast, my voice, and my truth is a call to action, and your voice and your money and where you use your life with intention is your call to action. Democracy ended a while ago, guys. Unfortunately. From Biden to Starlink, we've lost the republic without a fight. We've been given the illusion of choice. Both parties have kept us numb while fascists take over. And both parties and all politicians in these parties line their pockets, build their bunkers, and hedge against collapse. So if you're still waiting for 2026 to save us, I need you to wake up. The election won't save democracy, because democracy is already gone. It was dismantled quietly behind press briefings and bipartisan smiles, while billionaires installed satellites, rewrote algorithms, and turned our votes into data points. We didn't lose America when Trump came in. We lost it when the so-called defenders of democracy refused to fight for it because they wanted to fight for their own bank accounts. When they chose comfort over courage, optics over action, and now the same AI trained to glorify Hitler is training the next generation of soldiers. So no, I'm not interested in hope without strategy, and I'm not here for performative resistance or curated outrage. I'm here to tell you that it's time to platform each other. I say this in every episode. I say this every time I talk to you. Protect each other and prepare for what's next, because nothing about this is normal and no one is coming to save us. This is the liberal conservative, and I don't care who's offended as long as the truth makes it through.